Congrats on taking the first steps in your cloud journey. We're going to go ahead and get started here by first creating our AWS account. I'm going to be here at aws.amazon.com/free. I'm going to select create a free account. Over here, you can see that I am going to get signed up with a root user. We don't have an AWS account just yet, so I'm going to click on create a new AWS account. So I'm going to put in my email address right there. And as for the name of the account, note that we can always change this later, but I'm going to say it's going to be the fundamentals course. With that in place, I can go ahead and select on verify email address. And it's going to send me a verification code to my email. I'm going to go ahead and grab that and then input that into this text field. Looks like today we are using 339937. And then there we go. We have our account. Now we just need to set up our password. I always say it's very hard to guess my passwords because I don't know my passwords. So I just store them all inside of a vault, and I'll go ahead and do the same right here. Now over in 1Password, you can see that I am setting up my fundamentals course for my Amazon account. I have several AWS accounts, so this will just be a way to keep it all in sync for me. Click on save here. You can see I have my passwords in place, and I can continue on to the next step. This next page just asks for specific information on what you're doing and what kind of AWS account you're wanting to have. I'm going to select personal for our use case, and then who should we contact about this account. Feel free to enter in your personal information. Again, I have all of this saved, so I'm just going to click on this and continue to the next step. At this point, we're ready to enter in our billing information for creating our AWS account. I understand that this can be a barrier for some people, but unfortunately, it is a required step to enter a credit or debit card information. I'm going to enter in my credentials, and then I'll see you on the next step. All right, we're just about done. We just need to confirm our identity. So you have two ways of doing this. You can either send yourself a text message or you can give yourself a voice call. I'm going to enter my phone number and receive a text message. As that text is being sent, just note that you will have to enter in a CAPTCHA code or whatever these things are called. So that way we can verify that you are in fact a human. So I'm going to submit that and then I'll receive my text message. Okay, I just got my code. I'm going to enter it right here and continue on to the next step. Now this is actually important. It dictates the level of support that you need. For most cases, and for what we need in this course, we just want the basic support, which is free. It allows you to still contact and get help with AWS for account and billing issues only. If you need more, you can always upgrade to the $29 a month plan. And then if you really need like enterprise level support, note that there is a $15,000 a month plan, which will give you 15-minute response times. We definitely don't need any of that. We're going to stick with the free plan and complete our sign up. And there you go. We've just created our very first AWS account. I'm going to click on this button right here to be taken to the AWS Dashboard. All right, now that we have an AWS account set up, we're ready to begin exploring AWS and what it has to offer. Now, unfortunately, a lot of tutorials make the assumption that once you create an account, you're ready to deploy and start getting off to the races. That is not the case. We still want to make sure that our account is secure. Simply because AWS is so powerful, a lot of people find ways to hack into accounts. So we want to make sure we don't fall into that situation. That's why the very first thing we're going to do on this page is head over to the fundamentals course right here in the top right. I'm going to click on that and head down to security credentials. On this page, you get a very clear sign up saying, hey, you don't have multi-factor authentication set up, meaning all you need to access our account is a username and password. We can take that one step further by providing a one-time authentication code through something like 1Password, which is what I'm using. Authy, I think you can use your fingerprint if you're on a Mac, etc. So I'm going to click on this. And then from here, you just want to give it a descriptive name. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. And once you have that set up, then you can identify which is the mechanism in which you want to log into this account. Now, I would just say be careful if you want to use something like your fingerprint, because that means you always have to be on that kind of device that supports it. So I typically opt for the Authenticator app, and that's what I'm going to be choosing in this section. Awesome. So once I'm here, I can click Show QR Code. This will show up the QR code, and you can see that my 1Password extension that I have over here in Google Chrome is already trying to get me authenticated. So I can find the fundamentals course, which is what I'm using here, click save, and then it will prompt for these codes. Now this is one code and it enters it in two places. I actually want this first code, and then you have to wait 30 seconds because it wants the next code after that. So I'm going to head to 1Password, and then I'm going to find the fundamentals course that is saved. I'm going to grab the very next password that was just generated, input that, and then now I have both the initial passcode that was generated and then the one that was after that. And I can select add MFA. And now our account is in a much better position to make sure that it's protected against malicious actors. Now, a little bit about the root account. There are some things that require a root user. For example, if I come over to this fundamentals course and click on account, You can see that it has specific account settings. And in fact, the root account is the only user that can close the account. Now, what's interesting about an AWS account is that you can have multiple users log in, similar to how you have a single computer, yet you can have multiple profiles. And each profile on your machine has different sets of permissions of what they can access. Now, the nice thing about this section is that you can enable or disable certain regions based off of whether or not you want users to have the ability to deploy services to them. I'm going to keep mine as the default, but feel free to check the ones that are most applicable to you. Of course, in this tutorial, we're going to be deploying to US East 1, which is going to be North Virginia right here. And I also keep a couple US regions available just in case I want to play around and deploy to certain services. The main aspect of this section, however, is going to be this right here. We want to enable the ability for other users in our account to be able to access billing information. Now, this doesn't say they can do whatever they want. This just says that as the root account, we're giving them permission to even ask if they can do this. Now, by default, billing information is not visible to other users within our AWS account. We have to explicitly allow it. And by clicking on this button, this is how we do it. This is great because if we have other users and developers in our AWS account, we want them to have an awareness of how much services are being cost and the ability to set up billing alerts. So that way they could be notified if they're exceeding a certain threshold. So we're going to click on that and select update. Now, we're not going to be spending a whole lot of time in our root account. In fact, there's only one more thing to do. But for now, go ahead and click on that top, head back to your AWS console, and I'll see you in the next video.